Hi, everybody. So, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Mr. Rosa. I'm going to be teaching Bio B during this trimester. In this video, I'm going to take some time and go through the goals and the expectations of this class, especially given the circumstances that we are currently in. So, to start with is our goals. What do I want us to get out of this class? First is the actual biology material. I want us to continue our exploration of biology, so the study of life, focusing specifically on the concepts of genetics, evolution, and ecology. We're going to take time and we're going to do the best we can to get through these units in the time that we have. In addition to this, I want us to emphasize and expand on the key scientific skills and approaches that are associated with this science. So there's going to be things that we do and learn about how we approach this to really begin to emphasize thinking as a scientist. Next, I want to focus and expand on the concepts that have previously been learned in science and biology. So whether this was from Biology A last trimester, or whether this is from physical science, or whether it's from 8th grade or 7th grade or 6th grade science, I want to continue to focus on the concepts and expand on them, even though you may have already learned about them. We're going to be digging deeper. And lastly, is to integrate scientific thought and evidence-based approaches into the understanding of the principles of biology. So the students that have had me before know that my approach to science is a thought process. Science is not the material that we learn, more so it's the way that we go about thinking about it. And that's going to be what we emphasize, especially that evidence-based idea. Next is our resources. For this class, you for sure will need, and you honestly should already have these things. First is a binder for this class specifically. Any handouts that I give once we are back in person, you're going to need some way to keep and hold on to them. A notebook for this class specifically. So somewhere for you to write down, take notes, or write other information down. You need a notebook for this class specifically. You need stuff to write with, pens, pencils, or whatever. And you need access to a computer. I understand that this is something that is a little bit of an issue for some people. The school should be able to provide you with one. If this is an issue, talk to me or your counselor immediately. All right, we went too long this last trimester with people who didn't have access to technology. If you don't have access to technology, you need to talk to me immediately. The rest of these are things that students should have access to. They're not required, but they will be extremely helpful. Students should have their own colored pencils or markers, stuff to color with. Doing coloring really helps to help differentiate certain things, so having access to your own colored pencils or markers will make our life a lot easier. At home, if you have access to lined paper, or in particular graph paper, that could make our job easier as well as we go into some of the more data-focused parts of the class. And lastly is a printer. Now, once again, I know this is not something that's going to be available to everybody, and I will help the best that I can. If you have a printer, it will definitely help you out with printing off some of the resources that you might need. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Don't rush out and buy one. We will work around it as needed. Okay? So, we are going to be taking one of two approaches in this class. Remote or college model. And I want to take some time to emphasize what each of these are. First and foremost is, due to the circumstances that we are currently facing, with the spike in COVID-19 cases, we are going to have to be remote for the foreseeable future, which we talked about. We are officially on a pause until December 9th. but it is possible this could extend much longer. So for the foreseeable future, we will be learning remotely. After which, we will be returning to the college model hybrid approach that we started and went through trimester 1. I want to begin by emphasizing a misconception that students have. For both styles of learning, you have class 5 days a week. I understand that you might not be physically present in class 5 days a week. For remote, you're going to be on Zoom 2 days a week. For the college model, it's 2 to 3 days a week, depending on your week. But you have to be thinking that you have class 5 days a week. There are things that you need to be doing at home. Okay? Just because you are not physically present does not mean that you do not have classwork that needs to be done. That is the whole idea of the college model and the remote model, is that when you are at home, you have to make sure that you are staying up on your responsibilities. While we are remote, classes will meet via Zoom twice a week. Depending on your hour, it's either going to be Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. So first, second, and third hour is Monday, Tuesday. Fourth, fifth, and sixth is Tuesday, Friday. There will be time for working one-on-one with me during office hours, which I will briefly talk about towards the end. For college model, as I mentioned earlier, you will meet physically in class 2 to 3 times per week, depending on the week. And this is going to be based on your assigned track, so whether you are maroon or gold. So, online resources. Most people should be familiar with these. I do want to take a minute to emphasize the ones that I personally use. First is, as with the rest of the school, we will continue to rely heavily on Schoology. So, the website, if you don't know, riverview.schoology.com. Make sure that you check the information on Schoology, so our schedule, the calendar, assignment due dates. Make sure you check that stuff on a daily basis. Next, I will be continuing to use Edpuzzle. All right, it's something that we started off using with my Bio A students last trimester. I want to continue using it to focus on the flipped model, or the flipped classroom model during this trimester. The links and codes for this will be posted on Schoology as soon as they're ready. And there will be other online resources, stuff for simulations or games or whatever, and I will post these as needed. Before I get to the general classroom expectations, I want to start with our expectations for while we are dealing with COVID-19. Okay, so whether this is remote or college model or whatever. To begin with, as I mentioned earlier, students need to have the mindset that you have class 5 days a week. On class days, it is expected that you are present and ready to learn. So that means whenever our Zoom starts, I shouldn't see people popping in at, let's say, 10 o'clock. I should be ready to start at 10 o'clock. Okay? Our time together is very, very limited, and I'm very protective of that. So make sure you guys show up and you are ready to go. On remote days or asynchronous days, you will have work to do on your own, and it is expected to be finished on your own time and ready to go for class. So this might be some sort of activity that informs what we're doing in class. This might be some activity that is only going to be done remotely and we're not going to take time for it in class. Or it could be something that we use to generate information going into the next class. Students need to finish their remote work on time and ready by the posted date. Once again, students need to be checking Schoology every single day. I'm not going to be taking the excuse anymore of I wasn't told or I didn't know that we had to do this or turn this in or whatever. Anything that is important, anything that has a due date, will be posted on Schoology. And I'm going to be trying very, very hard to have multiple ways of viewing the information that you need. So not knowing or not being told is not an excuse. And once again, to re-emphasize this, students need to have access to technology. If this is an issue, talk to myself or your counselor as soon as possible. We will make sure that you are set up, or we will work around your needs. Now for my general class expectations. These apply whether we are in COVID or whether everything magically clears up and we're back to normal. First, is students should always be focused at the task at hand. When you're in class with me, that means that whatever we're doing in class, that is your focus. There is no such thing as multitasking. Trust me, I'm a biologist. I've done the research. I can pull up the information if you need. Your brain does not work in that way. So, all electronics, all headphones, unless told otherwise, need to be put away. If we're doing stuff together in class, you need to be completely and fully present. Your assignments should be done and submitted by the posted date. That does not mean come into class while you're still working on it. It means you should be done and ready to go. So, next, especially during this time, my philosophy is I have you guys from bell to bell. So I have you guys for however long our allotted time is. During that time, when you are physically in class with me, you need to remain seated in your assigned seat until I dismiss you. If we're remote, I need you to be on the call and be ready to go until I dismiss you. In the classroom, stay out of all drawers and cabinets until I tell you otherwise. From what I've seen, this doesn't seem to be a problem, but I do need to mention it. We are in a science classroom. There is no food at all. Nobody should ever be eating in my class. You don't know what was on those tables before you walked in. I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to drinks, as long as drinks are in a sealable container. Lastly, this is a rather lengthy bullet point, so I'm going to break it down for you. You guys are all high schoolers. You're young adults. You have certain responsibilities. And yes, I understand that life happens. Being young adults, I expect you to advocate for yourself. That means if you need help, if you fall behind on an assignment, if you come down with an illness or have to go to the hospital or somebody in your family does, it is your job to let me know. Yes, obviously as a teacher, I am going to be keeping track of you guys, and if I see something is wrong, I will come and talk to you, but it is also your job as young adults, it is your responsibility to come up and say, hey, Mr. Rosa, there's X, Y, and Z going on, I need extended time, or I'm not going to be in class on this day because of whatever. You guys are young adults. It is your responsibility to make sure you communicate any issues with me. Lastly, quarantine expectations. We are moving to a very precarious season right now in terms of illness, because we're getting the general cold and flu sicknesses along with increases in COVID-19. Now, I'm not going to BS you and say that you're immune, that it's not possible. Obviously, it's possible. There is a possibility of you or someone in your household contracting COVID-19 or some other illness. If this is the case, you need to take the matter seriously. Your first priority, your first and main focus needs to be your health and getting better. If you are sick, stay at home. Do not come to school. Now, obviously, this applies once we are back in person, but I need to say it now. If you are sick, do not come to class. Everything is being set up right now with the remote and the hybrid models to where even if you are in quarantine, you can still do your work remotely. If you need to, you can do it. I understand that there's a wide range that these symptoms affect people. There are people who test positive for COVID that are asymptomatic, they have no symptoms, and they walk around completely normal. There are other people who can barely breathe and have to be put on ventilators. If you are infected or quarantined, do what you can. Okay? So do what you can while you are quarantined remotely. All material will be accessible during Schoology. Special arrangements can and will be made for tests, quizzes, and projects that are missed. And remember, it is your responsibility to keep me aware of the issues that are going on. If you're quarantined, let me know when and why. And we will discuss due dates on assignments that need to be changed. Okay? So I will work with you, but once again, it is your responsibility. Here is our schedule. It is expected that students be up and ready to go by 7:35. 7:35 to 8:55. So that first hour and a half of school, you are working on independent work every day. We will be live on Zoom every day from 9 until 11:55. Monday, Thursday is first, second, and third hour. Tuesday, Friday is fourth, fifth, and sixth. After that is 1 hour for lunch. And then the remaining time, 1 o'clock until 2:35. This is time for, once again, independent coursework. And this is when we will be holding office hours. Okay, so if students who need additional support or need to come talk to me one-on-one, I will be posting a sign up for this on Schoology. Make sure you let me know what help you need. Wednesday is a little bit different. Wednesday is a flex day. Essentially, the way that I'm approaching this, during those blocks that are indicated, I will have a Zoom that is open for you to join, and we'll treat it essentially the same as office hours. Come in with questions and to work one-on-one. I will kind of expand on this as more information becomes available. Lastly, yes, I know that I don't have the schedule up and ready to go. I'm still working on it, making sure that it's all set and ready. Everybody is required to attend the first day of class, Monday or Tuesday, whatever that is for you. I plan on going over this stuff that I just went over because I know not everybody's going to view this video. I'm going to go over this a little bit more in depth. And if you have any questions, please come prepared with them for class. I will be answering questions about how we are approaching this. There will be more info available starting tomorrow. All right, that's all I got for you guys. I will upload this here in a few minutes. See you soon.